Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Jack from WhatCulture.com, and after being destroyed by Adam Blompier in our Royal Rumble predictions video, I'm back with a brand new show. It's called The Fast Count. This is hopefully going to become a weekly show where I sort of recap everything in the world of wrestling, give you some news, some recaps, and some general goings on. First of all, let's start off with some of the week's biggest news headlines. Wrestling legend Bret the Hitman Hart has sadly been diagnosed with prostate cancer. The iconic Hall of Famer revealed the news on his official Facebook page, writing an open and emotional message. I think all of us here at WhatCulture.com speak for everyone in the wrestling world when we wish the Hitman all the very best in his fight against this terrible disease. Some more sad news this week. Brothers Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas were forced to miss this week's Raw tapings due to the ill health of their grandfather, Bob Windham. Better known to the wrestling world as NWA legend Blackjack Mulligan, we wish him all the best and a very speedy recovery. And finally, perhaps a little bit of good news. Bryan Alvarez originally speculated on the matchup, and then the internet did its internet thing, and suddenly it became the gospel truth. However, unfortunately for fans of Braun Strowman, the whole thing looks to be nothing more than just a rumour, really. And on the topic of WrestleMania 32, although the main event scene looks to be a little bit predictable, with maybe Roman Reigns and Triple H squaring off over the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the rest of the card looks surprisingly wide open. In fact, you could say that the whole thing is nothing more than a series of WTF moments. First up, the results of this week's Raw. This week's edition of Raw saw two absolutely bizarre results, as first of all, Dolph Ziggler got a pretty pointless win back over Kevin Owens, and Charlotte was defeated by none other than Brie Bella. I just don't think that this result over Kevin Owens really benefits either man in the long run, especially not Kevin Owens. And you can't have KO go back to be just another mid-carder. He's far too good for all of that, and I just don't think this is the right direction for him. Charlotte's loss is even more baffling. She's the Divas champion, whereas Brie Bella's probably quite near the bottom of the ladder. It just seems to be another very bizarre booking decision on this week's Raw. Someone in WWE's social media department done up. Before the beginning of Raw, Bray Wyatt posted an update in Roman Reigns' character. I've actually got a copy of it here. He said, "This battle with hashtag the Wyatt family has gone on for too long. Hashtag the big dog will finish it. Hashtag believe that. Hashtag Raw." So what we've learned from that, apart from the fact that Bray Wyatt really loves his hashtags, is that wrestlers don't actually update their own Facebook page. Does kayfabe mean nothing anymore? I've written to him countless times saying, "Bray, follow me back, like, I love you." I'll get on with it. Number 3, fan fiction. Yes, fan fiction. I'm sorry, we are going to have to talk about fan fiction. The New Day decided to mention the swathes of fan fiction dedicated to Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns out there on the murky, dirty internet. Thankfully, in case you wanted to know more about this, Reddit user BellGirl1997 helpfully posted a list of the most popular fan fiction combinations out there. Number 1, Ambrollins. That's Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. There's a note here. Ambrose usually tops. I hit up Urban Dictionary, and tops means to assume a dominant role in the... My parents watch this. Number 2, Ambrains. That makes sense. Again, Reigns is the more dominant. Number 3, this one's genius. Ambrollains. You've got Roman, then Dean, and number 4, bottom of the list, Rollins. No one wants to see hair wetness. Imagine having like a story or a piece of art dedicated to you just for something you've done in your job, in your professional life. It's absolutely ridiculous. For a full rundown of this week's WTF moments on Raw, you can check out Ross Tweddle's article, and you can find that by going to whatculture.com/WWE. You can also follow Ross, the self-proclaimed king of WTF moments, at Ross on Wrestling. And finally, we've got our biggest takeaways from this week. We still have no idea who The Undertaker is going to face at WrestleMania 32. That's pretty worrying, isn't it, considering it's potentially his last match ever. Are we going to be left with Kane? He's fought him a lot already. Lesnar fought him too recently. Wyatt fought him too recently. Big Show? Number 2, this one's a bit of a prediction for an angle in the future. I think Ric Flair is going to turn on his daughter and align with Sasha Banks. I mean, can you imagine if that happened? The biggest heel maybe in the history of the business, turning on his own daughter for someone younger, less related to him. You might have noticed that I've not mentioned AJ Styles yet, and that's pretty weird considering he's the biggest debutant on the main roster arguably since The Shield. He beat Curtis Axel last week on SmackDown, and he's probably going to beat The Miz this week on SmackDown, but are these the sort of feuds we want to see AJ in? It's actually quite hard to shake the feeling that maybe Vince and maybe the whole WWE don't really know what to do with a man who really should be one of their biggest stars. And there's no doubt that AJ is a massive star. Do you not remember the reaction when he came out at the Royal Rumble? Well, that's all we've got time for on our very first edition of the Fast Count. Be sure to check out whatculture.com/WWE for more news, features, recaps and insider opinions. I've been Jack from whatculture.com. You can follow me online at Jack_the Jobber, and I'll see you soon.